and we're all running off a very small microcomputer called a Raspberry Pi. And then all this research is around autism. So you can see, you know, I held 30 autism-friendly story camps, and they were amazing. Yeah, come get comfy.
Wow, look at this car. Look at this car. Yay.
So yeah, come in and
Look at this. Vô đi ngồi luôn. Vô đi ngồi đi. Đi ngồi đi.
Cần đóng lại đóng. Do we need to close this curtain?
If you want to, yeah, close it. That'll be
Mời
nice.
anh vô đóng cái màn lại anh.
Come on in, and then Jay will close it up for us. It's going to be dark for just a second here.
Đừng sợ.
He's a little afraid of the dark.
Yeah, you can leave it open. Put it back open. I don't know why this isn't starting right up.
Okay, chờ chút. Ngồi đây với mẹ.
Ừ, không sao đâu con. Ngồi đây chứ. Đây đi. Ngồi chơi với mẹ đi. Đi, ngồi chơi chứ. Ừ.
Went to it. Oops.
I will get this working, and then I won't have problems. Let me see.
See, I figure some kind of guru is gonna come out.
Yeah.
Giờ giỏi rồi. Biết lấy từng miếng ăn ở trong bịch đàng hoàng hồi đó.
I didn't check this computer before.
Rồi đất không có lụm nữa đó anh.
Ồ vậy đó ha.
Còn bây giờ là nó biết lấy từng cái.
Ok.
Từng cục.
Good job.
Không ăn nó còn
Ừ.
bỏ vô đây nữa.
Here we go. Okay. So,
Wow.
okay, so here's the story. This one is called All the Possibilities. Today is going to be a great day. There are so many possibilities of what could happen. Maybe we can go down by the water and take a quick swim.
Wow.
We can see what kind of fun animals live along the water's edge and say hello. Maybe we will go to the volcano and check out all the hot lava. We shouldn't try and get too close in case the volcano starts to erupt. Maybe we will go to the forest. The forest is an amazing place full of possibilities. A magical creature lives there who can change color based on its mood. They will turn pink when they are curious, and yellow when they are sick, and red when they're afraid. Hopefully they won't be afraid of us. There are so many possibilities. Now all we have to do is choose which one we want to explore. So what's all the research on this is when you use lighting in this way and the immersion is around you and you're not having to look at the screen or any of this stuff, you automatically build an attentiveness and calmness. And so for the vast majority of kids with autism that come in here, you don't have to force them to stay in the room. Younger kids are harder just because you can't communicate a lot of time, but I would say 95% of the 100 kids I've had in the last 6 months will stay for an hour of storytelling. And they usually come in with their therapist, they come in with their headphones on, they've been told not to be around anything loud, around anything like that. And it's just, it just sort of works out. So yeah, and then we've got our atmospheres, which are designed around sleep. So you know, here's one that's set on green. And so what these are good for is, and what you'll see in the sleep tent, is basically you tell a kid's story and you give them the rights to choose what kind of color stories they want. And then when it's done reading them the story, this would be over their bed, and this would go into a calming environment to allow them to sleep. And there is so much research behind this kind of lighting and this kind of sound being unbelievable for us in terms of sleeping. And so I don't even know how many times I've taken naps in here. It's unbelievably easy because it's just it just makes you feel very calm to be in an environment like this. All right, let's see. Let's read some good stories here. I want to make sure I don't scare him, so we'll go with a little bit easier ones.
Cái ánh đèn này á, dành ra dễ ngủ.
Tình yêu em thật kỹ đó.
So this one is called Impatient Laszlo. So this is an easy story for him, and then we'll see. We have like the Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
But does the story read? Does it
Yeah,
read?
so in the next model, the story reads to you.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of took out the fact that you have to read. This thing used to run on an app, and it runs on a computer now, which is easier for the center here, so that they can run it off any of their computers. But basically, I'll give you guys a little bit of history of how this company came about. So I'm obviously on the Navy side. I was running the Navy's Predictive Analysis Human Behavior Group. So I'm a mathematician. So I was basically killing and capturing people in war.
Ông làm cho hải quân của Mỹ.
That was my job. I ended up getting on the Navy's highest think tank, working for the head of the Navy, and he allowed me to study story. So I got to study just story to the highest levels. And when I came back, I wanted to set up a story company that brought theater to the bedroom. Theater to me was open-ended creativity. So I saw that with technology, it was getting harder and harder to interpret story differently than the way it was being read to you. So what I mean by that is when you go to a movie, there's no way to experience it differently than the person next to you. And so if that's true, you're not getting more creative because of the movie. You're actually diminishing in creativity over time through story. And that's true because we're going into virtual reality, partial reality, augmented reality, you know, everything that's going to take us to where there's no way to interpret the story in different ways. So we set up in an art space in downtown LA, and we were telling stories with gobo wheels, which I'll show you in the lab, but they're basically wheels that can create texture of light. And my daughter wanted to tell a story and came in and made a story that was really scary, and we all imagined something different, and all of a sudden clicked that something was happening different. Go forward like 2 years into this company, I had a psychologist reach out to me and said, hey, we think you're somebody we're looking for. So I ended up going over to Loma Linda directly for the director of neuropsychology, Dr. Fogel. And he says, hey, if I can convince insurance, would you do $1 million or $100,000 worth of testing? And I was like, yeah, sure. Well, at the end of that, I found out that I have decently high working memory, IQ, visual memory, and then on audio memory, I'm 1/16th of a percentile. So I have what's called audio processing disorder, which shockingly most kids with autism have, but it's not autistic in its own sense. So I don't hear things right, and sometimes I interpret it wrong. So what's great about that is all this makes sense. Like more lights and more interpretation of the story in ways that I understand is a whole lot better. And then that's how we ended up in autism. So at that point we realized, you know, autism or people that have that see words backwards or any of these types of things, having this choice of either the sounds, the words, or the lights gives them an opportunity to interpret it in their own way. So we invented what was called minimally defined immersion, and that's what we call this technology. So you can tell very, it's called MDI, it's for short. You can tell very MDI stories, which this one is. And so what I mean by that is we've created a story that will not tear apart any of the creativity of the listener. So if a kid has autism and they want to hear this story, I'm not going to ruin it for them. So, okay, this one goes like this. Hello, Walrick. I'm here for my enchantment lesson, said Laszlo with a slight hesitation. Walrick clapped his hands. Ah, there you are, Laszlo. Gather round. Where? Asked Laszlo. Oh, of course, Schnazzle, Walrick said. Wow, are you going to teach me to make that appear, Walrick? Asked Laszlo eagerly. No. I'm going to teach you something far more important, Walrick said with glee. How to make me dinner. Laszlo groaned. Dinner? Yes, I'm very hungry, said Walrick. Here are your ingredients. Now pay close attention. Add 3 of these, 1 of this, and 2 dashes of that. Put this on top and let it sit until it begins to change. Okay, I got it, Laszlo replied, sounding bored. Good, exclaimed Walrick. I'll be back soon. Remember to be patient. Don't open it until it's done, no matter what. Goodbye. I wish you'd teach me to disappear like that, muttered Laszlo. Now let's see. I add 3 of these, 1 squeeze of this, and finally 2 dashes of that. Now I put this on top and I wait. Laszlo was frightened. Oh no, something must be wrong. This is taking far too long. I better take a look. Yuck! Yuck, this tastes terrible. Time to try this again, said Laszlo. First these, then this, This time I will wait till it's done no matter what. Laszlo reached forward but stopped. I need to be patient. And he waited for what seemed like hours. It changed! I did it, Laszlo yelled happily. I'm back, announced Warwick. Aha! It looks like dinner is ready. Warwick poured 2 bowls for himself and Laszlo. Laszlo was surprised. It tastes good. It tastes delicious. Well done, said Warwick proudly. I already have taught you an amazing lesson. Patience is magic. So yeah, so you can see that, you know, unlimited things you can create in an environment like this. So what we're creating is a platform. And to open it up to anybody that wants to create stories would be unbelievable.
Right.
But this is the prototype of the second model we're going to build. So this does work off voice recognition. And the thinking for this environment is you take any of your accelerated reading books that the kids get in school that they're struggling to read because they're so addicted to the computer or they're so addicted to the iPad. Our company is about never having the phone or the iPad in your hand. So basically they would bring the book in, they would scan it on the barcode reader, and they would start reading from anywhere in the book, and the lights and sounds would match. And so we've been working with Cal Baptist University that's doing our voice recognition, and so this thing's going to be a really capable thing that's going to sit here. Ideally, we'd like to put these bigger systems in the libraries to basically get people excited about the books that we're selling for the other products. But the other one is going to be a color-coded book system for kids with autism to control their own bedtime ritual. So if they want to go to bed to orange or go to bed to purple, they grab that book off the shelf. When they take it into the bed tent, it automatically will read them the story. There is no touching it to anything. They just enter the tent and it starts reading the story. So really cool stuff.
So the tent is smaller than this, of course. Smaller,
Yeah, by a lot.
Okay. So
What
for
about,
Jade,
like right now they don't understand English. So how do we make it bilingual, and how do we incorporate the culture and language?
Exactly, and that's where I mean, it's all possible.
Okay.
I mean, that's just it. Depending on where the investors come in from, then that's what we do. So I was going to try to find something here because this is actually pretty fun. We'll see how he likes this. This is actually
He's getting comfortable.
Yeah, when you read this is actually a scary story. To us adults, this is scary, but to most of the kids, this is very interactive to them. And we'll see, this one takes a little bit longer to load. But this cube will read about, I think it's 21 stories right now, and then it's 6 environments. But my favorite story of the 30 kids, the camps that I did, was this 12 or 13-year-old boy came in, and I could just realize that he was doing something with his brain that was really magical. He was very autistic. His mom was the head of marketing for the California Autism Board. And all of a sudden at the end of it, I was like, I want to try something with you because I think I recognize something really crazy going on. So I played him this story, and I told him to stay quiet, imagine a story in his own head, and at the end, tell me a story. And at the end of this, I don't even know what it is, like 47 cues. It's kind of neat, huh? At the end of 47 cues, he was able to tell me a story that was like 1-to-1 matched all the cues, and I had it on videotape, and we were able to go back and say, oh my gosh, he had a perfect memory of the stories. So this is why a lot of the kids like this. It's like, for adults it's kind of scary because I think we've seen the horror movie that reminds you of the sound, but they're just really fun cues. Yeah, that's kind of what happens. It's attentiveness and calmness is just automatic. And I like this, even though it's kind of more scary, is just because it shows you that it's unlimited what you can tell in these kind of environments, depending on what kind of story someone wants to make. Yeah, I think my daughter helped make this one with our sound guy and lighting guy. She loves like horror movies. And she's never even seen any. So they were
Really?
Yeah, like she thinks she likes horror movies, but I don't think she actually does. But
How old
she's
is
like,
she?
oh yeah, we need someone breathing hard, and we need kids running around in the background. Oh yeah, perfect.
How old is she? How old is she?
She's about to turn 11. But so yeah, so what we're gonna see next after this is all this capability is in the sleep tent. So basically we can do anything we need to in that environment. The last thing I'll show you here is let's do.
Tiếng Việt hả? Khoa thấy không? Nghe vô? Nghe vô? Tiếng?
Yeah, this one we did just to kind of.
Yay!
Yay! But now it's dark. Nobody likes darkness.
Wow!
Yeah, this one I'll just start reading a little bit of, and you'll kind of see what happens. We wanted to try just taking a well-known story. So this is Wizard of Oz.
Nó nghe được âm thanh.
So
Giờ nó chú ý.
there was a bell beside the gate, and Dorothy pushed the button and heard a silvery tinkle sound within. Then the big gate swung slowly open, and they all passed through and found themselves in a high arched room, the walls of which glistened with countless emeralds. Before them stood a little man about the same as the size of a munchkin. He was clothed all in green from his head to his feet, and even his skin was of greenish tint. At his side was a large green box. When he saw Dorothy and her companions, the man asked, "What do you wish in the Emerald City?" "We came here to see the Great Oz," said Dorothy. The man was so surprised at this answer that he sat down to think it over. "It has been many years since anyone asked me to see Oz." You can imagine a kid having to read this book, not wanting to because it doesn't have a computer attached to it or anything. They bring it to their house and they're now in an environment that's just simply listening to them reading a book. They have no computer, nothing. And this is coming to life. We can change so much about this world and do it for the powerful. And he goes on. "He is a powerful and terrible, and if you come on an idle or foolish errand to bother the wise reflections of the great wizard, he might be angry and destroy you all in an instant." "But it is not a foolish errand, nor an idle one," replied the Scarecrow. "It is important, and we have been told that Oz is a good wizard." "So he is," said the Green Man, "and he rules the Emerald City wisely and well. But to those who are not honest or who approach him from curiosity, he is most terrible. And few have ever dared ask to see his face. I am the guardian of the gates, and since you demand to see the Great Oz, I must take you to this palace. But first, you must put on spectacles." "Why?" asked Dorothy. "Because if you did not wear spectacles, the brightness and glory of the Emerald City would blind you. Even those who live in the city must wear spectacles night and day. They are all locked on, for Oz so ordered it when the city was first built. And I have the only one with the key to unlock them." He opened the big box, and Dorothy saw it was filled with spectacles of every size and shape. All of them had green glasses in them. The guardian of the gates found a pair that would fit Dorothy and put them over her eyes. There were 2 golden bands fastened to them that passed around the back of her head, where they were locked together by a little key that was at the end of a chain the guardian of the gates wore around his neck. When they were on, Dorothy could not take them off had she wished, but of course she did not want to be blinded by the glare of the Emerald City. So she said nothing. Then the Green Man fitted spectacles for Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman and the Lion and even little Toto, and they were all locked with a key. Then the guardian of the gates put on his own glasses and told them he was ready to show them the palace. Taking a big golden key from a peg on the wall, he opened another gate, and they all followed him through the portal into the streets of the Emerald City. So you can just imagine being a kid reading.
Yeah.
And having, this experience, which again is not a screen, it's not screen time, and like him just enjoying being in here, it's a calmness and attentiveness. So
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got the price point down that, this thing was, I don't know, $12,000 or something, but we've got the price point down where what you guys are going to see next, we think we could sell for $400, with the books costing $20 a piece, and we can open up subscription plans. We can have bigger systems like this sitting in libraries and maybe have all the books working so people get enticed to want to buy more and more and more. But the fact that it's a platform, we've already partnered with a Beverly Hills content creation company that's going to be writing all of our news stories.
would love it. I mean, they have
like
all kind of stories.
truly expert people designing for a platform that we control. So yeah, so there's, in my opinion, a lot of usefulness in this. Last thing I'll show you is I created an environment just to show how you can create environments that help you. I can show you an environment that's really not good for you. All of these avoid the frequency spectrums that cause, epilepsy and that kind of stuff. Like that it's very well known what to avoid for those things. But what makes this one so fun is this is everything that stresses out a human. So you don't think about it, but a bee stresses you out because it makes a certain frequency that automatically makes you react.
I see.
We don't like this. We don't like sounds when they don't fit music and when they don't fit a beat. Yellows are really bad. Obviously, yellows mean emergency if a vehicle's coming down the road or something like that. So we put them all into one story, and most kids with autism that I brought in here love this one. But I've tried to work in this one for like an hour and a half, and I made it like an hour, and then by the end of it, an hour later, you're just very stressed out. So
Wow, look. Huh?
So it's very powerful what you can do in these kind of environments. And yes, you have to be a little bit careful, but at the same time, this is kind of fun in short durations.
So why is it that kids with autism like this more?
I think it's, I don't know. There's so much more studying we can do with this stuff. But yeah, we created all these environments with the Neurodevelopmental Center, and then she was working with kids with autism, had her own tent there, and then was working with them on all this stuff. But this is kind of just theoretically straight out of the book, things that make your mind be attentive, overly attentive.
Batman, give me 5. Give me 5. Give me 5. Yay! Very good.
Do you think playing this in the background would help them pay attention if I'm doing therapy?
I mean, I'm not kidding when I say there was Richie, was the only kid out of 30 that I did the story classes with, and so far he's been in for beta testing 3 other times with his mom, Shannon. Richie is non-verbal, non-speaking. He was really hard to keep in the tent. The first time he came in, he stayed for 20 minutes, but that's without his mom nor me or anybody being able to give any instruction. It's the same how I feel with kids that are 5 or less. Even if they don't have autism, it's kind of hard to get a 5 or less year old to stay in the tent because they're kind of on their own planet. But then all the other kids, the other 29 families that came in, stayed for an hour of storytelling. So,
What about the dB and the loudness? That's how we represent
I
it.
always started really low, like even lower than this, and almost every kid wants it at least this level or someone it's super loud.
How loud is this right now?
This is like medium. Yeah, this is like medium. Like we could try this story and see how he likes it. This is like one of the louder ones. We have them labeled out to where we know which ones are. So like when they do the autism story camps, like I don't have to run this anymore. So like
Do we know like what threshold of dB they can tolerate?
I want to do more of that. So what I do in the way that these stories build out when they run the autism story camp here, the city of Riverside runs it, and I don't have to be here. It starts low and builds, and then they're basically asking the kid in between each one, how are you feeling and that kind of stuff.
Why is the city invested in something like this?
I don't know. I mean, they support us because we're a small business. We're definitely innovative. And so they've always supported. Like the mayor just put me in for Entrepreneur of the Year for the city.
Okay.
So
Because they have a good heart,
Yeah.
yeah, so
they do put funding towards it and
no funding, but
they gave you the facility.
they let me sit here for free for a year.
Okay.
And
But the build out was something you guys had to come up with then?
yeah, I paid. I don't charge them anything, so this just sits here free for everybody. And then now that they're on their own, running their own autism story camps, that's so beautiful to me because this was a lot of work. I didn't realize how exhausted I was going to be. I did Monday, Wednesday, Saturdays for 6 weeks. And each Monday was 3 classes, Wednesday was 3, and then it was 5 on Saturdays. So that was 11 a week. And then
And each
for
class
3 weeks.
was for an hour?
For an hour. And then I'd give myself 15 minutes break in there, and I was exhausted. Like every day I was like just barely going to bed, and I would just crash out because it was like exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
But I also am a massive storyteller. I love telling stories. And then just seeing all the kids enjoy the heck out of it was fantastic. But here's a funny story, and I'll tell you why this one. I had this one built on purpose. Kind of to my point, I don't hate dragons, but I have a t-shirt that says "No More Dragons" on the back. And the reason is parents will automatically think that their kid is so creative because they thought of a dragon, right? But if you want to be like actually kind of stringent on the idea of dragon, it's probably one of the oldest characters in all of story, right? Many think it was built off the first dinosaur bones being found, and then people like just imagining dragons. So it's fine that we regurgitate creativity, but it's better when some kids just come up with something brand new. And so we made this story, and obviously there's no real dragon sound. So I made this story, and up to about 7 years old, kids will almost never say it's a dragon. They'll come up with something really ridiculous. And for everybody, especially 100% of adults, they always think this is a dragon. And so that's why we designed this story, just to prove to people that you're kind of stuck and you don't even realize it. And there's just no way around it. So we'll see how he does it this way. This is one of the louder ones. All right, James was finishing a chore when a large dark shape passed over him. Before he could look up, a thundering shock burst forth from above. "It's coming! It's coming!" James yelled and ran. People began to come out of buildings. They screamed at what they saw. A huge creature with strangely colored skin and a terrible face was flying from the sky straight towards them. It opened its mouth. Horrifying noises and a destructive power came. James hid with his friend Catherine and watched as the creature destroyed a building they both loved. The creature used his power again. Then new noises came from the distance. "What is that?" James asked. "What's coming?" "Something worse," Catherine muttered. "Worse!" James cried. "What could be worse than this? More of them!" Catherine said as many large dark shapes began to pass over them. I just love seeing. It's like it shockingly works, and it's like it's so odd to think of it that way.
It makes them sleepy too.
Yeah, you can read so many testimonials in my business
definitely
plan.
multi-sensory.
It's definitely, and when we eventually get
And
to
it's giving you
smells,
so much like frontal lobe development.
and it's never what you're looking at. You're never immersed by what you're looking at. Like I'm not immersed by you, Julie. I'm immersed by all this, right? And that's what's shocking. When we get used to staring at computers and we get used to staring at tablets, we're just so dumb in what we're doing. Like our mind is just so bored.
Yeah, this has like a nice openness and a freedom feeling.
Yeah, and when you have it over your bed, and it can be any book you bring in, and eventually we get a tent in the room, and now it works with all the stories. Yeah, it's going to be pretty. I think it's going to be potentially pretty huge.
Mình đang ngồi là cái liều lớn, nhưng mà họ có chế là cái liều nhỏ để ở nhà cho mấy đứa ở nhà đó.
Let's do one more
Xong rồi
story.
mình đọc
We'll head over to the next
mình đọc
place.
truyện cho nó, hoặc là nó tự nó đọc luôn. Sau này nó tự đọc luôn.
This was my favorite story as a kid, and so thus it's Tessa's favorite story. So of course we had to build it into an environment. So this is called The Werewolf's Moon by Kevin Maher. So yeah, we could do like very popular Vietnamese,
Yeah.
Stories.
Yes. Yeah. Every country has their own story that you can create.
And you'll see in the business plan that when we start spreading to other countries, it changes really fast. What we could do.
Câu chuyện Việt Nam là hiện tại là có câu chuyện tiếng Anh vừa cỡ cái đèn lên nó chấp nhau chung với cái tiếng Anh tiếng động thì em đây là tập trung và có phải tập trung một chỗ giống như em phải tập trung chị mà riêng cái phần mình phải cảm giác. I'm just trying to explain it.
No, that is, take your time. That's perfect. Yeah, this is about a 3-minute story. This is like my and my daughter's favorite story, so this is a fun one. So The night was dark and mysterious. Lurking in the shadows of a Gothic castle, Lawrence Tellman could feel something coming. The change was about to occur. The same dreadful transformation that took place each month when the moon was full. Because of his family's ancient curse, this ordinary man would transform into a werewolf. The full moon rises, Lawrence gasped. Any moment now, I'll turn into a savage beast. The dark clouds parted, and the moonlight beamed down onto Lawrence as he started to turn into the werewolf. Oh no! It's happening! And so, the supernatural curse unleashed the spirit of the werewolf. Thick brown hair spouted out of his arms, legs, back, chest, and face. Sharp canine fangs pushed their way out of his mouth. And as the final stages of his transformation were complete, his once clean fingernails grew and grew into rough claws, which tore away at his flannel shirt. Just then, an even more ancient power appeared in the darkened castle core. It was the werewolf's grandmother. Oh, Larry, why do you have to tear apart a perfectly nice long-sleeve shirt? I love that flannel. It brought out the green in your eyes. The werewolf stopped in his tracks and turned to look at the old woman, who herself also transformed into a hair-covered wolf beast. The werewolf moved towards an open window, ready to leap out of the castle and into the gloomy forest. Please, Grandma, leave me be. Let me run wild with the children of the night. He can't mess anything up, so he can touch up. Running wild is terribly overrated. Grandma Werewolf told him. What are you gonna do? Chase after some poor defenseless rabbit and eat it bones and all? There's no need, sweetie. I just made chicken noodle soup. No, Grandma. The wolf must be free. And
Give me
even
5.
out a ferocious howl.
Give me 5. Yay.
Lawrence Jerome, Tellman, I will not have you waking the neighbors with that awful howling. You act like you've never seen a moon before. I bought you a subscription to that science magazine for your 10th birthday. You've seen the moon. The werewolf did not want to be lectured. He wanted to chase after a deer and terrify some villagers. He needed to get outside and be wild. What you need is a nice warm bath. That'll calm you down. Then we can make some popcorn and watch a movie. That does sound kind of nice. I'm going to run you a bubble bath. While you wait, you can play one of your video games. And so, the werewolf played video games until his bath was ready. Then he enjoyed a nice warm bath, and when he got out, he ran the blow dryer over his entire hairy body. He put on some pajamas and got under a blanket on the couch. They watched an old movie together, and the werewolf ate lots of popcorn. It was not the wild note that he planned on, but sometimes even a werewolf needs a quiet night at home with his grandma. The end.
Very good. Yay. Yay.
So that's it for this stop. If you guys want to go, we can go check out the product and
Yeah. Let's
see
go
some
see
cool
the
stuff.
smaller version.